Hi everyone, you're watching Drive District. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about something very interesting. What reliable car can you buy in 2026 if you have between $20,000 and $25,000? And this time we're not going to talk about the usual Toyota Camry, Honda Accord, Honda Civic or Mazda CX-5. You've already heard about those cars in my previous video. Today I want to show you something different. I've selected 10 reliable cars that you can realistically find on the used car market in this price range. Some of them are Japanese, some are American. There are even European cars on this list. And one of them is a proper sports car. Of course, when we're talking about used cars, the price depends heavily on mileage, condition, trim level, and location. But the $20,000 to $25,000 range is very interesting in 2026 because it gives you access to cars that are still relatively modern but have already taken a significant depreciation hit. And that's exactly what we want. We want to spend our money on the car, not on the first major repair after buying it. So let's get started. 10th place, Nissan Maxima. Let's start with something a little unexpected. Nissan Maxima. Yes, Nissan. And no, I'm not talking about the Nissan CVTs that have given the internet enough material for a lifetime of jokes. The Maxima is interesting because under the hood we have something much more traditional, a 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6. This is a big engine for a modern sedan, and it produces around 300 horsepower, so we're not talking about a slow economy car. We're talking about a pretty quick sedan that can still be bought for around our budget. The Maxima also has a comfortable interior, good equipment and a lot of space, and according to current IC Cars data, the Maxima remains one of the better rated large used cars under $25,000, with a reliability score of 6.9 out of 10. But here's the important part, the CVT still needs attention. You shouldn't buy one with an unknown transmission history and then expect miracles. If the transmission was serviced properly, the car wasn't abused and the fluid wasn't ignored for its entire life, the Maxima can be a very interesting alternative to the usual Toyota and Honda choices. And there's another advantage. You get 300 horsepower for Camry money. That's not bad. 10th place. Let's move on. 9th place. Subaru Crosstrek. At number 9 we have a completely different type of car, Subaru Crosstrek. This is one of those cars that makes a lot of sense if you live somewhere with bad weather, snow or simply want all-wheel drive without buying a huge SUV. The Crosstrek combines relatively compact dimensions with standard all-wheel drive. And that's a very useful combination. It's easy to park, it's economical. It has decent ground clearance. And it can handle roads where many ordinary sedans would rather stay at home. Current IC Cars data gives the Crosstrek a reliability rating of 7.6 out of 10 among used subcompact SUVs under $25,000. And the important thing is that this isn't some exotic machine. The naturally aspirated versions are the ones I'd be interested in. I wouldn't chase maximum horsepower. I wouldn't buy a heavily modified car. And I definitely wouldn't buy one without checking the CVT and service history. A clean, properly maintained Crosstrek can be an excellent daily driver, especially if you need one car to do almost everything. 9th place. 8th place, Subaru Legacy. And now we have another Subaru. But this time it's a sedan, Subaru Legacy. This car doesn't get nearly as much attention as the Outback. And that's exactly why I like it. You get a comfortable mid-size sedan with standard all-wheel drive. The naturally aspirated 2.5-liter engine is the version I'd look for if reliability is the priority. It's not the fastest engine. It's not particularly exciting. But again, we're not buying a race car, we're buying transportation. Current IC Cars data places the 2023 Subaru Legacy at around $23,600 on average, with a reliability rating of 7.3 out of 10 among mid-size cars under $25,000. That's a pretty interesting combination. A relatively new car, all-wheel drive, comfortable interior, good safety equipment, and a price that fits our budget. The main thing is to check the CVT service history and make sure the previous owner wasn't treating the car like a rally car, because even a reliable transmission doesn't like abuse. 8th place. 7th place. Subaru Outback. Now let's talk about one of the most interesting cars in this entire price range, Subaru Outback. This isn't exactly a traditional SUV. It's more like a high-riding wagon with all-wheel drive. And that's actually one of its biggest advantages. You get excellent cargo space without driving a giant truck. You get standard all-wheel drive. You get good ground clearance.
And you get a car that's perfectly comfortable on the highway. The 2021 Outback is currently rated by IC Cars as the most reliable used SUV under $25,000, with a reliability rating of 8.0 out of 10 and an average price of about $23,400. That's a very strong result. But again, engine choice matters. For maximum simplicity, I'd rather have the naturally aspirated 2.5-liter than the turbocharged versions. The turbo is faster, but the naturally aspirated engine is the one I'd choose if my priority was long-term ownership. And there's another thing. Check the CVT, check the cooling system, check for oil leaks, and inspect the car underneath. Because an Outback that spent its entire life on salted winter roads can have a completely different ownership experience from one that was properly maintained. Still, if you need one vehicle for family trips, bad weather, cargo and everyday driving, this is one of the best choices on the list. 7th place. 6th place, Nissan Frontier. Now let's leave the sedans and crossovers for a moment. At number 6 we have a pickup truck, Nissan Frontier. And this is one of the most interesting choices for someone who actually needs a truck. The Frontier doesn't try to be a luxury vehicle. It doesn't need a complicated engine producing 500 horsepower. It's designed to be a working vehicle. And according to IC Cars, the 2021 Nissan Frontier is the most reliable used truck under $25,000, with a reliability rating of 7.5 out of 10 and an average price of roughly $23,000. The older Frontier generation is particularly interesting because it uses relatively straightforward mechanical technology. And that's exactly what I like in an older truck. You can tow, you can carry stuff, you can go off-road, and you don't necessarily need a laptop every time you open the hood. Of course, the condition of a used truck is critical. A Frontier that spent its entire life towing trailers and driving off-road is not the same car as one that spent its life commuting to work. So check the frame. Check the transmission. Check the suspension. And look carefully for corrosion. But if you need an affordable used pickup, the Frontier deserves your attention. 6th place. 5th place, Acura TLX. Now we're getting into premium territory, and at number 5 I have the Acura TLX. This is one of those cars that can be a very smart alternative to a German luxury sedan. You get a premium interior, you get excellent equipment, you get good driving dynamics, and importantly, Acura is part of Honda. That doesn't automatically make every Acura bulletproof, but it certainly makes the TLX more interesting to me as a used luxury car. Current IC Cars data ranks the Acura TLX as the most reliable used luxury midsize car under $25,000, with a reliability rating of 7.3 out of 10. And this is where things get interesting. You can have a car that looks and feels significantly more expensive than a normal family sedan without necessarily accepting the maintenance nightmare associated with some European competitors. Of course, there is still more expensive equipment here, more electronics, more complicated suspension, more expensive body parts. So, don't buy a TLX just because you found one that is $3,000 cheaper than everything else. There's probably a reason. Find a clean example, check the maintenance history, and get a pre-purchase inspection. Do that, and the TLX becomes a very attractive option. 5th place. 4th place, Volvo S60. Now let's make things even more interesting. Volvo S60. Yes, a European car made the list. And I know exactly what some of you are thinking. You just told us to avoid expensive European cars. Well, not exactly. I'm saying that you need to choose the right European car. The S60 is interesting because current reliability data actually puts it near the top of the luxury segment under $25,000. IC Cars currently lists the Volvo S60 as the most reliable used luxury passenger car under $25,000, with a reliability rating around 7.6 and an average price around $23,000. And let's be honest, the S60 has something many Japanese cars don't: style. The interior looks expensive, the seats are excellent, the car is comfortable, and it has a very different character from a Camry or Accord. But there's a catch. This is still a modern European luxury car, so maintenance is more expensive, the electrical system is more complicated, and you absolutely need a complete service history. I would never buy one just because it's cheap, but if you find a properly maintained example with a clean history, the S60 can be a very interesting way to get premium comfort without spending $40,000. 4th place, and now we're getting serious. 3rd place, Toyota Avalon. At number 3, we have a car that has become almost legendary among people who actually understand used cars. Toyota Avalon. This is basically the car for someone who wants a Lexus but doesn't necessarily want to pay Lexus prices. It's big, it's comfortable, it's quiet, and it has Toyota's naturally aspirated V6. We're talking about the 3.5-liter 2GR-FKS V6 in the later models. This is a mature engine design with a long history behind it, and the Avalon is exactly the type of car I would recommend to someone who plans to keep a vehicle for a very long time. There's no need to drive it aggressively, there's no need to modify it. Just change the oil, maintain the cooling system, service the transmission, and keep driving. The Avalon also has another advantage. It was never as popular as the Camry. That means you can sometimes find a well-equipped Avalon that has been driven by an older, more careful owner. And that's exactly the kind of used car I want. A clean Avalon with a full service history is a very difficult car to beat. You get comfort. You get a big naturally aspirated engine. You get Toyota reliability. And you don't have to explain to everyone why you bought a luxury car that costs twice as much to maintain. Third place. Second place. Volvo XC60. Now let's go back to SUV versus. But this time, we're talking about a premium SUV. Volvo XC60. And yes, this one may surprise some people. According to current IC Cars data, the 2020 Volvo XC60 is among the most reliable used luxury SUVs under $25,000. With a reliability rating of about 7.8 out of 10 and an average used price around $24,600. So what do you get? A beautiful Scandinavian interior, excellent seats, a comfortable ride, all-wheel drive on many versions, and a very high level of safety equipment. But once again, maintenance history is everything. This isn't a Toyota Corolla. There are more electronics. There are more expensive components, and repairs can cost more. So this car makes sense only if you have some money left after buying it. Don't spend every last dollar of your $25,000 budget on the purchase price. Keep some money for maintenance. But if you can find a clean XC60 for around $23,000 to $25,000 and the history is excellent, you can get a lot of car for your money. Second place. And now, the number 1 car. First place, Mazda MX-5 Miata. And here comes the surprise. Mazda MX-5 Miata. Yes, a sports car. And not just any sports car. One of the simplest and most reliable sports cars you can buy. According to current IC Cars data, the 2021 Mazda MX-5 Miata has a reliability rating of 8.8 out of 10, making it the most reliable used sports car under $25,000 in their analysis. Its average price is around $24,900. And I absolutely love the idea of putting this car at number 1. Why? Because the Miata doesn't need a gigantic engine. It doesn't need a complicated all-wheel drive system. It doesn't need a huge turbocharger. It doesn't need 500 horsepower. It's lightweight, it's simple, it's naturally aspirated, and it has a traditional transmission. The result? A car that's fun at normal speeds. You don't have to drive 120 miles per hour to enjoy it. You can drive it through a mountain road at reasonable speeds and still have a huge smile on your face. And that's the beauty of the Miata. Of course, there's one obvious problem. It's not practical. There are only 2 seats. The trunk is tiny. And if you have a family, this probably isn't the car for you. But if you're single, have another practical car in the family, or simply want a second car for weekends. This is one of the smartest $20,000 to $25,000 purchases you can make. And unlike many European sports cars, you don't have to be terrified every time you hear a strange noise. At least, that's the idea. First place. So, this is my list of 10 reliable cars you can buy in 2026 for $20,000 to $25,000. We had some unexpected choices. The Nissan Maxima, Subaru Crosstrek, Subaru Legacy, Subaru Outback, Nissan Frontier, Acura TLX, Volvo S60, Toyota Avalon, Volvo XC60, and of course, Mazda MX-5 Miata. But remember, a reliable model doesn't automatically mean a reliable used car. The previous owner matters, the maintenance history matters, the mileage matters, and the condition of the individual vehicle matters even more. I'd rather buy a 2021 car with 80,000 miles and a perfect service history than a 2023 car with 40,000 miles that was abused and never properly maintained. And please don't spend the entire $25,000 on the car. Keep some money aside, because even the most reliable car needs brakes, tires, fluids, suspension components, and regular maintenance. And before buying any used car, get a pre-purchase inspection. It might cost you a couple $100, but that inspection can save you thousands. So now it's your turn. Which car would you choose with $20,000 to $25,000 in 2026? Would you buy a Subaru?
A Toyota Avalon? A Nissan Frontier?
Maybe the Acura TLX? Or would you do something completely crazy and buy a Miata? Write your choice in the comments, and if you want to know everything about cars, engines, transmissions, and parts, make sure to subscribe to Drive District. Hit the like button, turn on the notifications, and I'll see you in the next video.